That unverified report has it that each of the state governments in the last few months have received additional 30 billion from the Federal Inland Revenue Service outside their normal allocations, from the Federation account, outside their normal allocations, to assist them in ameliorating the food situation. So we believe that every state government should utilize the funds so received towards ensuring that food is available in the country. So the state governments have a lot to do. They are closest to the people. And I don't want to mention local government because most local governments are controlled by the state governors. So my belief is that if the state governments do what is needful, then the local governments in turn will only be involved in sharing to make sure that these things get to the people. But we must not overlook the fact that Nigerians are not going to be interested in stories. Nigerians want to see action. And that is why I commend the joint committees for the recommendations that they have done, and I commend the senators who are constantly going back home almost every weekend to assist to make sure that you reduce whatever sufferings, but assure the people that this government will do everything possible. That's why I said no policy will be exclusive or excluded. This is an emergency situation. Nigerians want to eat food and we are going to provide food for them. The government will have no excuse. Despite what we met on ground, COVID-19 used to kill in Italy alone up to 4,000 people in a day. Most of them were farmers. They couldn't go back to farm. Ukraine fighting with Russia. 70% of the world's wheat came from Ukraine. And therefore, those things have stopped. The wheat can no longer come. So you don't expect that not to have impact. And then insecurity in the Northwest with the vast land. And then, of course, what was happening in the North Central. You don't expect that not to have impact when people could not enter their farms. Then, of course, the ways and means and the borrowing of over 30 trillion without necessary earnings by the CBN vis-a-vis the federal government. And then the global economic situation where even United Kingdom has announced recession. So I think people need to be patient with government, but rather look at what we are doing as a Senate and as a National Assembly. We cannot sit back and allow our people to be hungry. And so we must do everything. If what we are producing right now is not sufficient, we can't sit back and say, oh, no importation by the private sector. No importation. If we need to even look at the issue of closure of borders, we should do so, if that will assist us to make sure that food is available. Because even now, with the little you have, tons and tons of food are being taken across the borders every night. Yes. At the moment, the CFA is stronger than the Naira. So people are rushing to go and sell their food products in CFA and not in Naira. So we are going to look at every issue. And that is why I applaud the Senate, I applaud the Joint Committee, and I'm saying if the recommendations are not far enough, we will do so. And thereafter, we'll still have a small committee of leadership to go further and discuss with Mr. President to make sure that everything that we need to do, we do so to make sure that Nigerians are happy. Because they voted for us, they don't want excuses despite the global economic recession. All they want is to see food on their table, and food we shall give to them. Security we must give to them. I also join you to commend the security services for the reduction in crime across the board. And I also mentioned in our closed session the other day, we were happy to hear that almost all of those who caused insecurity in Abuja, including the killers of that young lady they called Nebena, have all been apprehended and are in detention. So a lot of things are getting improved, and we must continue to improve and work on it despite what is happening globally. The war in Gaza is also a problem and all that. And then even the war in Sudan and other areas. And then of course, the insecurity in the nations around us, our neighboring places, and then the climate change and all that. But I commend you for this, and let us go straight into the recommendations and see whether they are far-reaching enough. Thank you for what you have done.
Yesterday, I saw the video and I read in the news where the Senate President made a statement. Though he said on verified reports showed that state governors have received additional 30 billion naira from Federal Inland Revenue Service outside our statutory allocations in the last few months from the federal government to address food security. Please listen to me loud and clear. I can speak for your state, and I can also speak for any of my colleagues, because as the Vice Chairman of Nigerian Governors Forum, I know when things are happening. If you want to play politics, we'll keep quiet and say let it slide. But I'm not going to let this slide. First, FIRS cannot give money to any state. It is not possible. All revenue according to our country goes into the federation account, and it is distributed to all tiers of government. The federal government does not give states money. The money in the federation account belongs to all of us. It is not only to the federal government. So if a Senate President, number 3 citizen in this country, will say of verified reports, people are looking at us as leaders. This is the period that we're supposed to give confidence to our people. It is not a period to start playing politics or to start looking for scapegoats. We need to engage with our people. If our policies are not working, we need to listen to them and amend. So if the number 3 citizen says, this is an unverified report, why does he need to say it then? Does that give confidence to our people, or does it solve the problem of hunger and anger in our land? Well, let me say it clearly. For your state and for most of my colleagues, there's nothing like 30 billion naira being given for food security to the state, and I stand to be challenged. But for us in Oyo State, Fashola Wanibe is a federal road from this Iseyin to Oyo through Fashola. We fixed this in Oyo State. I have it in black and white, where the federal government, under the former minister, former governor of Lagos State, said, we will not refund to Oyo State. And I said, look, I don't care. This is a road that has economic implications for Oyo State, and we will go ahead and fix it. And if we go there, the people plying the road, they are our own people here in Oyo State. The Egbe Mosque, the town hall Wambe, when I was campaigning, we saw the ceiling was almost falling on us, and we promised we will fix it. It has been fixed and it is there. We don't need the federal government to tell us what we need to do for our people. So let me make it clear, that the federal government, yes, they promised the state 5 billion. Out of that 5 billion, they only paid 2 billion naira. And they are even asking that that 2 billion should be refunded right now. We've cooperated with the federal government. It is the responsibility of the federal government to manage the fiscal situation in Nigeria. We've left a lot of money that should be shared, and we said keep it, so that we can manage the inflationary trend in the country. So we have been transparent about everything we're doing here in Oyo State, and this is a time for us to pull together as a nation and solve the problems we're facing. It is not a time for blame games and propaganda. Hunger anger, they are real. And as leaders, we must address it. So our administration will continue to implement policies and projects that will take our people out of poverty into prosperity. So mo kí wa kú oríire èní mosque yìí wọ́n parí ẹ̀ níṣẹ́jú gbogbo wa and gbogbo àdúrà tí a máa gbà níbẹ̀ Ọlọ́run á mú lọ sílé àṣẹ. Sorry if I appear hungry. If my people are hungry, I will be hungry also. But I will continue to give confidence to our people, to let them know what we're doing, to seek their support, to key into those things, because leaders alone won't be able to solve this. We all have to solve this problem together. Ọlọ́run á wà pẹ̀lú wa. I yield the floor to His Eminence so that wọ́n á lè bá wa sọ̀rọ̀. Tẹ̀gbé.
Well, you know that we are in a time where people want to be relevant, and they feel that being relevant is to incite the public, tell lies against government. I know no civil society behave like that. You have to understand how civil societies in other climes work. They tend to balance information. The allocation to government is managed by the State Ministry of Finance. There is a budget and there is always a published account. So I would have asked that he waits, let the account be published, then he can ask questions, and rather than raise false alarm. On the palliative, thank God you know, he was on the palliative committee. The money that federal government gave to me, or to the state, and indeed to all states, was 2 billion naira. Even though federal government said it was 5 billion. We are yet to receive the balance of 3 billion. Even the 2 billion, the federal government have written to us that it has to be refunded. So if you refund the money that was generally believed to be funds that was given to the state, it means that it's the state that did the palliative. And beyond the 2 billion, all of us are in this state. We saw what we did. We spent well over 5 billion if you put all together. I'm not talking, even add the salaries that we paid for 3 months and put all of that. Check with the Accountant General's office. We spent well over that. So that's the part. On the one that states have been given 30 billion for palliative, I think it's a prophecy. And I pray the prophecy will come to pass. And, you know, we are in the States, and our people are there in Abuja. Maybe there is a plan like that. So I join in praying that it should come. It will help us a lot. But as I stand here today, we have not received more than 2 billion naira from the federal government on palliative, and we are made to understand that it was a loan. And this state spent well over 5 billion. We are now getting a bill to we have gotten a bill to the House of Assembly to be able to pass so that we start the bulk purchase agency. Bulk purchase agency, the state government wants to do bulk purchase of food and send it to the market so we can be able to stem price of food. We're not setting a price control, but we'll be able to say, if you flood the market, this is the price. The challenge for us is that we want to take away middlemen so that this can get to the real people. That's always the challenge with government programs like this. And we're working hard, even before the bill is passed, to ensure that we find a perfect way that will tell all Akwa Ibomites that this is how the bulk purchase agency will run. So I believe that as a state, we are doing the very best we can. Since I came into office, I've tried to keep the cost of governance very low. I have denied myself of some of the things that are supposed to be my entitlement, so as to put it back for the common good of our citizenry. I believe in my conscience to God that I'm giving my all, and I'm prepared to do more. And anybody wants to audit the state accounts, the accountant general is there, commissioner for finance is there, director of budget is there, and see, you know. And when people say, the other day I saw someone said they put these amounts in the budget. That you put money in the budget does not mean that you are spending that amount. It's a provision.